Okay, everyone, I am here to give you a super quick 5-minute crash course on our patient voting scripts that are made to help you start conversations with patients using your badge, to help you about civic engagement and public health in a way that feels natural and fitting for your patient visit. So this was co-created with clinicians and social workers to make sure that it felt really real and authentic to our healthcare providers. That being said, I want to remind everyone that our conversation starters are meant to serve as a guide, as talking points, but the best conversations come from practice and making sure you really find your own cadence and flow. What this is doing, it's giving you those real life talking points that make you feel a lot more confident when you are pulling your badge out and talking to your patients. But before I go over the anatomy of the scripts really quickly, I want to show you all where you could actually find this resource and find your scripts. So you are going to go to the Vot-ER website. You're going to go to resources and then down to conversation starters. Once you click conversation starters, it'll prompt you to download the PDF. And I always say this to folks because folks get a little confused when it says buy a resource now. Our tools and resources are free. What you're doing is you're just pressing this button to get access to that downloadable PDF. And once you put in your information, then you get this PDF document. So here we have our beautiful conversation starters. There are a ton of different interactions and talking points. And because I have now less than 5 minutes, I won't be able to go over all of these talking points with you. But what I do want to go over is the actual anatomy of the scripts. So breaking these down on those conversation starters, you're going to see interactions and talking points for when you're ending a visit with a patient, when you are talking to skeptical voters, when you are talking to young voters, frequent voters, and folks who also might be ineligible to vote. So at the end of patient visits, you could use those talking points with any kind of patient, and it's really what we call the base of your script. You want to make sure that you're always starting with your introduction, and that could sound like, before you go, I want to make sure that you have what you need to get registered to vote. Do you want to check your voter registration? It only takes a few seconds. Then you're going to reiterate how the act of voting can empower the patient, add some proof of why it is impactful, and then end with your hard ask, pulling out your badge and saying you could scan this QR code. It's completely optional and private and will take you to a landing page with the information that you need. This is a really simple way for that patient to act on scanning your badge, and the entire conversation can take less than 30 seconds. And then if you encounter someone who says something like, why should I even vote? My vote doesn't matter. And I know that we hear this a lot when we talk about voter registration with folks, whether it's a patient, our friends, our family. So some of the best talking points that I always say is you want to make sure that you're not pushing, but rather connecting. And that means connect on your own reason for why you vote, and then remind them that the small numbers often decide really big outcomes, especially in local elections, and try to find that connection with the person you're talking to. So this could sound like just sharing your why, and saying, I know it could feel like your vote doesn't matter sometimes, but I want to tell you that I vote because it's how we push for better healthcare access. It's how we lower prescription costs, and it's how we advocate for the issues we care about. And then you could prove that impact by saying local elections impact public health programs and are often decided by just a few votes. You could scan the QR code on my badge. It takes you to a nonpartisan site that just gives you the facts on what's on your ballot and then tells you how you could check your voter registration. You could scan it, it's completely optional, and it's private. Your information is not shared. So again, we're not pushing, but rather trying to connect. And then for young voters, I really like to focus on the personal impact and agency because we know that that is more effective with young voters. Young patients might be new to voting or they're unsure of why voting even matters. So this script really helps them connect voting to their own power and well-being. So saying something like, voting is one of the easiest ways to shape issues that impact you, like healthcare access, clean water, and social equity. Just like you care about your health, voting helps you shape the systems around it. You could scan this QR code on my badge and check your voter registration status. And then we get to our frequent voters, where we know that we hear folks say, I don't need to check my information. I vote every year. I vote all the time. You do not want to skip a conversation just because someone says that they vote all the time. You want to make sure that you're thanking them for being a voter, but then also encourage them to check their voter registration status to make sure it's up to date. And then you're going to end that ask by saying, you could also share this link, take a picture of my badge and share it with your friends and family, because we know people really listen to the folks they trust when it comes to voting. And for ineligible voters, we crafted these conversations because we know, especially right now, there could be a lot of discomfort as a healthcare professional and with a patient too, making sure when you're asking this question, it doesn't feel invasive at all. So not everyone is eligible, and that is completely okay. We crafted these talking points to really be changeable and movable on what feels comfortable for you. But mainly what we're trying to get out of this is making sure we're still offering a way for that patient to feel like they can make a change, that they're empowered and they can help others take action. So this might sound like someone saying, I personally can't vote. Then you could say, even if you can't vote, you could still make a difference by helping your friends and family who can. You're welcome to take a photo of my badge and share it. It's completely private. No information is shared, and it won't affect the care you're receiving today. We add that last talking point because we never want someone to feel like that you're looking at them a different way because they can't register to vote in this moment with you. And so we want to make sure that folks feel assured that it doesn't change the way that you're treating them as a patient. Again, these are just talking points and guiding points for you all when you're having conversations. Make them your own and practice them. So to close this out really quick, I will remind you all, use the version that fits the moment that you're in, fitting the natural like cadence of your interaction. It is completely okay if sometimes you're like, I'm making this really shortened or quick, and it's okay if you get into deeper and longer conversations. But you want to focus on making sure that you feel like you're offering a resource, not that you're trying to convince someone to do it. When you share your own why voting is important to you or why you're offering this resource, that makes someone feel like you care about them, you care about the well-being, and the work kind of does itself. That is a convincing right there. And then we end it on reminding you that the badge does all the heavy lifting. There is a 24/7 helpline on that landing page that answers any questions patients might have when it comes to voting. So as healthcare professionals, you don't feel like you need to take on that burden of answering questions or getting too much in the weeds of uncomfortable conversation. So keep it to what feels natural and comfortable for you, but practice, practice, practice. The more you practice having these conversations and using your badge, I promise you, the more comfortable it gets. So that is it for me. I know that was really, really fast. I will remind everyone, our conversation starters are on our website. Reach out to your coach if you want a little more support on how to use these conversation starters.